All right, everybody, welcome to another exciting edition of Geekdom Q&A. I am dropping the Q&A a little bit early this week because it is Dragon Ball Super Week, and the excitement is here. The excitement's building. I'm going to attempt to answer as many questions as I can here from all of you. And of course, for those who don't know, it's ask.fm/geekdom101. Give me your questions, and if you have any doubts about my knowledge, let's check it out. So I'm going to start, like I always say, at the bottom, and we're going to work our way up here. I'm going to try and answer as many as I can today. There's 172, and in order to prevent my Q&A from getting out of control, because those of you who are subscribed over to QAAMAN, who's been doing this a lot longer than me, you know that he has 17,000 questions. There's no way he's ever going to get to all of them. It's just, he would have to do a Q&A every single day, hour and a half long, for God knows how many days in order to catch up. So I may do 2 Q&As a week. Keep sending in those questions, though, and because I'm nowhere near worried about that right now. So let's go ahead and get to it now. First question, Ultimate Gohan versus Janemba. I pick Gohan. I'm going to slightly disagree only because I believe that Janemba's power was equal to, maybe a little weaker than Buhan, in my opinion. There is no way to tell because it's from a movie. Janemba was in Dragon Ball Z movie 12. There's no way to tell how strong this guy is, and it seems on the surface that he's as strong as Buhan, or maybe even a little stronger or a little weaker, depending on his abilities and the things he can do with altering reality. I do believe that Gogeta is weaker than Vegeta, in my opinion, based on the feats, based on the time limit, and based on what was said in the series about the Potara fusion. And even though Gohan definitely had, a tremendous power when he got the boost from Old Kai, Gohan still was losing the fight to Tanks. So I'm going to pick Janemba on this one. I think it would probably take a fused character to beat Janemba. I think no individual character can defeat him up until that point. Obviously, Beerus, Whis, and Goku and Vegeta in the recent material could. So thanks for asking. My opinion, of course. Who would be the best at golf in the Dragon Ball universe? Also, would it be hilarious to see Vegeta play golf if he sucked? Absolutely. That's the kind of comedy that I like. That would be great if I saw that. The best at golf maybe would be Ten Shin Han, because he has the third eye in the middle of his head. And that's Tien, for those of you who don't know the original name. I think he might be the best at it, but are his senses as keen as some of the stronger Z fighters? I don't know, but I'll go with Tien just because he has that advantage of having that third eye, so he can see things maybe farther away. Yeah, maybe I'm just talking shit. I don't know. Rock Lee, Chunin his dance versus Goku Jackie Chun tournament. I go Lee as long as he can dodge a Kamehameha. This would be an awesome fight to see. Rock Lee is from Naruto, and I haven't seen enough Naruto to make a comment on this one. I can't give you an honest answer. I trust what you're saying, though. You would go Lee as long as he can dodge a Kamehameha. Goku in the Jackie Chun tournament was pretty strong, which was the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. He was pretty powerful. So I haven't seen Naruto yet, but I might watch it now just to see how impressive Rock Lee is, because if Rock Lee can compete with Goku from Dragon Ball, he's pretty strong. Ocean dub, it's over 9,000 versus Funimation version. I go with the Ocean on this. I agree. Brian Drummond's It's Over 9,000 is like classic stuff. I would probably go, even though the fact is, it is a mistranslation. It's supposed to be over 8,000. Everybody kind of knows that, but it just became so viral and so awesome that it's hard to really hate this line, even if you are a purist. But I do go with Drummond's over Sabit on this one. Why does Toriyama hate Vegeta, in your opinion? He is literally the most well-written character with the best development on the show. You just answered your own question. I don't believe Toriyama hates Vegeta. Toriyama does consistently write Vegeta to be kind of the bitch of the show, in the sense of he always has Vegeta lose to the top villain. He lost to Frieza. He lost to Cell. He lost to Boo. He lost to 18. He lost to Zarbon. He lost to Kid Buu. Vegeta has not had a good time, but you are 100% correct in that. Maybe, I don't know about him being the most well-written. I would say in Dragon Ball Z, he's definitely top 3. Probably is the most well-written now that I think about it. You're probably right on that one. And he does have the best story arc, which actually takes precedent over the entire series. So even though Dragon Ball Z is basically about Goku and Gohan, you really could make an argument that it's also about Vegeta, and maybe even say the show is about him, just because of the arc of that character. You know, starting off as a villain, having to align with our heroes, having to meet Bulma, get her pregnant, and have a son, realizing that he has compassion and love for his son, later on realizing he has compassion and love for Bulma and Trunks. Bulma and Trunks, Kid Trunks, and then of course at the very end when he finally admitted that Goku was better than him. That it was great writing, fantastic stuff, and I don't think Toriyama hates him at all. I really don't. I don't believe that to be true whatsoever. What's more offensive, the treatment by DBZ by Ocean, or the treatment of One Piece by 4Kids? Everyone agrees they got better when Funimation took over. Yes, as far as the editing goes, absolutely 100%. But it wasn't Ocean. Don't get it twisted. It is the Ocean dub that was edited, but it wasn't the Ocean group of voice actors. It was still Funimation. The company still had the rights. It was a combination of Saban and the groups that were kind of putting everything together back then. But just don't blame the Ocean group, because just remember that the Ocean group are just a group of people who do, you know, dubs and things like that. They dub voices. So to answer your question, even though the treatment of Dragon Ball Z affected me more because I'm a much bigger fan of Dragon Ball than I am One Piece, that being said, I've heard that the dub of One Piece, I've heard stories from my anime friends that they really, really did a number on this thing, and it's hard for me to really answer without seeing examples, but based on what my friends have told me, it's even worse, so I can just give you that as kind of an example of how I feel about it. It just, I understand editing. See, the thing is, I understand if you're going to edit something for television, it makes perfect sense, but because, you know, I get it. Like, it's always been like that in this country. The pussification of America continues, but that's a topic for another day in North America. But you should have an uncut version available. That was the thing. Even back in the 90s, you couldn't get Dragon Ball Z uncut without bootlegging it. You had the only DVDs you could buy were the Ocean dub until Funimation's new Texas group took over and they changed everything for the better, if you ask me. Even though I do favor some of the Ocean dub voices. So, little history lesson there. There's more. I got videos planned on all that stuff. I have somebody on Twitter asking me to do videos on all the different dubs. I've got stuff already written, scripts, but it does require an incredible amount of research to figure a lot of this out, because this is from back in the day, and I'm literally finding websites that have been closed for years, going through the Wayback Machine, trying to find some more information on this. So it's tricky, but you know, I got some stuff coming about all the dubs. How can Infinite Mass Punch hit Goku if it is vibrating at just under the speed of light? Wouldn't that be easy to dodge? Yes, especially if it's Goku. I don't know what happened there. My friend challenged me to kill Goku Lelouch if Britannia versus Goku. I don't know what you're talking about. I feel weird in saying that. Trent Deuster. Lelouch has no power level. I think Goku would not perceive him as a threat, and if Lelouch make eye contact, it's over. Is this from Hunter x Hunter? I really don't know. I do not know who that is. That might not be a question for me. I mean, I appreciate you sending this question in, but this is probably not a question for me because I have no idea who that is. So, but thank you nonetheless. Why did Yamcha stop using a sword? Swords increase character appeal by like a factor of 10 for many people, like Future Trunks. Good question. I don't know. Maybe because he realized his sword wasn't going to work against some of the tougher guys that they ran into, like Goku, for example, like Roshi. That's all I can think of. Maybe. I mean, my answer to that has always been that once Yamcha went to go train with Roshi, that he didn't really need the sword anymore because he kind of learned that his hand-to-hand combat skills and his ability to manipulate ki were much, much better than having a sword. Even though Trunks figured out how to use the sword in combat and mix it with his ki, which is why he was able to slice Frieza up so easily, and why King Cold tried to do it to him and he just blocked it with his hand, because the ki is definitely more powerful than a weapon. So that's the best answer I can give. Real quick, a little sip of iced tea here for the working man. If you're out there and you are working that 9 to 5, paying them gimmicks in the mail called bills, this drink is for you. And if you're in school studying to grow up and get a career so that you can, or even if you're already grown up and going to school and you're studying, trying to get a career and better yourself, this drink is for you. Damn, that's good. Let's move on. How do Goku and Vegeta not injure/kill their partners during intercourse? Oh, one of these questions. If they have to hold back so much so that it does not hurt their partners, how are they getting any pleasure out of it? That's a great question. That's kind of that whole Superman question of how could he have had sex with Lois Lane if he's a superpowered being. I honestly don't know, to be honest. I'm guessing that they do. This is weird, but I'm guessing that when they fuck, I guess that they do kind of lower their ki, and they might still get pleasure out of it because they're not using ki. If you really study ki and chi, which I did a video about it called What is Ki? Dragon Ball In Depth Episode 5, it really is actually helpful for sex, breathing techniques and things like that. It actually makes sex better. So obviously these guys have such high control over their ki that they can use the ki to improve their sex life and in combat. You know, it's two different kinds of ki. Maybe it's Genki, what they use for getting it on. So that's my guess. Again, my guess. Do you think Chi-Chi has a ton of these questions? Do you think Chi-Chi has a ton of sex toys due to Goku never being around to be with his wife? I mean, he kind of had a responsibility as a married man if he wants to be a good husband. You're right. You're right. And little lesson for a lot of you youngins out there, which I know if you're a male, you're going to agree with me, especially if you're experienced. And even if you're not, you're going to agree. You need to make sure you make love to your girlfriends. Women need sex just as much as men do. And if there's any ladies listening to this right now and you don't want to admit it, you're a liar. Women need pleasure. They need to make love to the man who they love just as much as men do. And to answer your question, I don't think she has sex toys. I think she just isn't that... What's the word? I don't think she has that much of a sex drive. Put it that way. I don't think she has a high sex drive. Bulma, on the other hand, I could totally see her with a few gifts in her nightstand. So there you go. You think we could ever get a full album of Vegeta singing show tunes? I believe there is an album. I don't know about Vegeta, but there is one of the Japanese Dragon Ball Z soundtracks where Vegeta and a lot of the other characters sing songs. It's one of the karaoke albums that you can, well, I was going to say you can buy it, but they're very hard to find. You might want to go to Kanzenshu on there and go to the music guide because they talk about all these things. I don't own any of this. Like, I own the music from Dragon Ball. I own every super hit collection there is. I have the entire collection, but I don't have any of the karaoke ones. Maybe I should get it just for fun, but I don't have them. I never bothered to look them up, but I know that there's one where the Z Fighters do sing, like, tunes and whatnot. Not tunes from the show. Now, if you're talking about, like, the Chris Sabat and the dub voices, I do think that Chris Sabat once did, like, a rap or something. I think he did like a rap or something on Mama Said Knock You Out. I believe Chris Sabat did the voice of Vegeta. Look that up on online. It should be there. So hopefully that helps. Gilgamesh versus Odysseus. As much as I like Odysseus, that is one of my favorite stories ever. Like I said on Expert Games' video, Gilgamesh takes the fight. What character in Dragon Ball do you think could possibly have an Oedipus complex? Don't say no one. Huh. Let's see. I'm thinking. Just let me think for a minute. There's not enough females in Dragon Ball to really come up with a good answer. One that I thought of was like 17 and 18 because they hate, their father, Dr. Gero, quote unquote. But we never even know who their biological parents really are. So that's tough for me to say they have an Oedipus complex. The only one I could think of, the only one that even comes close to possibly having an Oedipus complex is probably Baby. And I'm only saying that because of how creepy Baby actually is. There's no evidence to prove anything against that. I mean, I don't want to say no one because you told me not to. But it's just, I can't figure anybody out right now. And for those who don't know, some people are probably wondering, what is an Oedipus complex? You can Google it, but basically an Oedipus complex is when you have a subconscious crush on your own mother and a dislike for your own father, which that might sound creepy, but it's all based on like Shakespearean plays and things like that. A lot of fictional characters throughout history have had Oedipus complexes. So just trying to think of who would fit this in Dragon Ball, man. I'm like dying here trying to figure this out. You really... Why did you have to say don't say no one? Fuck. I don't know, bro. Maybe Dr. Gero himself. I don't know. It's definitely not Trunks. It's definitely not Gohan. Definitely not... I'm just saying baby. Sorry. Street Fighter versus King of Fighters versus Mortal Kombat versus Tekken versus Blaze Blue versus Guilty Gear in an all-out war or in a tournament format. Who's the last character standing and who wins overall? Last character standing, I believe, would be Evil Ryu. And I love King of Fighters, Mortal Kombat. That's my opinion. It would be Evil Ryu because he mastered the Dark Hado. It would be tough though, because if Akuma's in there, it would be kind of a difficult fight. Of course, Heihachi would probably give him a challenge, but I'm gonna go with Evil Ryu on this one because Evil Ryu just seemed like the strongest character they ever came up with in Street Fighter. A comparison for the colors of a Super Saiyan is the light. And by the way, I'm saying Saiyan on this video because it's just easier to understand, even though it is Saiyan, the proper way of pronouncing it. Is the lifespan of a star. Blue stars. And by the way, this is from Lennox Watterson. Shout outs to Lennox here, who is a very passionate man. Of a star, blue stars the youngest and the brightest. SSGSS, strongest of the forms. Yellow stars, the longest part of a star's life. SSJ's been around the longest. Has the most variations. Red stars is dying, consumed by its own mass. SSG, shortest form. This is very intelligent. This is very well thought out. And I guarantee you, bro, that you put more thought into this than Toriyama. Guaranteed, without question. You did. What he's basically talking about, folks, is that he's trying to measure the different power levels and how the colors. And boy, have we had a lot of controversy about colors lately in Dragon Ball. But I might do a video about that. Who knows? But he's talking about how the yellow stars, like he's talking about the different kind of stars and how, and we're talking about actual stars like in space. The yellow stars is the longest part of a star's life, so he thinks that it equals to SSJ being the longest. Has been around since, way back in the Namek Saga. And the red stars, like the red dwarfs or whatever, are dying, consumed by its own mass, like SSG. And the blue is the youngest and the brightest, therefore it's the strongest. That makes a lot of sense, bro. That makes a lot of sense. This guy should be writing philosophical articles on maybe on SuperFriendsUniverse.com. Who knows? Shout out to SuperFriendsUniverse.com. Purple people with pointy ears. Yes, I want to fuck one. Can you do a what if Goku didn't hit his head and become good? You got to understand, guys. First of all, I'm not the best at what ifs. I can do some, but I'm not the king of the what ifs here. It's difficult to do what ifs like this because the changes would be so dramatic that it's almost like not even a series. Like I remember I read somewhere somebody asked, what if Goku never met Bulma? Where if Goku never met Bulma, there'd be no Dragon Ball. And the same goes here. If Goku didn't hit his head and become good, he probably would have eventually killed Grandpa Gohan. And who knows if Goku would have been killed but from his own recklessness, or if maybe Radix had come and picked them up and then they would have gone and done whatever they were supposed to do, and maybe eventually they would have been killed by Frieza. It's hard to say. There's way too many variables with this what if. It would literally change the entire series, and it's almost too speculative. Like, I know that Hail Zeon uses the word headcanon. This is pure headcanon right here. I would have to literally make up a new story to give you this what if. But just kind of, like I said, briefly, I think he would have eventually maybe rampaged and killed Grandpa Gohan, and then he would have probably been killed in battle at some point, or maybe Radix would, maybe he'd just stay in the forest forever, or maybe he would do what he was supposed to do, is when there's a full moon, he'd become an Uzara and wipe out the planet. I mean, that's really the answer right there. Him hitting his head made the series what it is. When Radix came to Earth at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, he was surprised that anybody was alive because he knew that if Goku had looked at the sun and became an Uzaru, he would have rampaged everywhere. And would they have done to cut his tail off? I don't know. Fakatsu no F Vegeta versus GT no SSJ4 Vegeta. That's the whole GT versus the new movies thing is something that Josh has talked about at length here. And to answer the question, if it's no SSJ4, I would probably say Fakatsu no F Vegeta, but if he is SSJ4, I would say Vegeta definitely would win. Even though SSJ4 Vegeta, even though GT is quote unquote non-canon, and it's let's pretend it's in a different universe. I think that SSJ4 would probably be a bit stronger than the God Power, but again, in my eyes, GT never existed, therefore it's not. So, but I would go, if they fought, I'd go with Vegeta Fakatsu no F Vegeta if he's not transformed. If he's in his base form, I would go with Fakatsu no F Vegeta. I meant SSJ drains you, but okay, SSGSS is a mastered form of SSG, but still could SSG Goku be all more powerful than SSGSS, even though since he mastered it, he can reach new heights with SSGSS. What I'm getting at is since Goku can go SSGSS, does he stand a chance now against Beerus? Great question. I don't believe he's still strong enough to beat Beerus at all. I believe that Whis says in the film that if Goku and Vegeta teamed up, they could probably have a chance against Beerus. But one-on-one, he can't. I don't see it happening. SSGSS is, in my opinion, based on everything I've seen and based on seeing the film, is a mastered form of SSG. I do think it is more powerful. However, like I said in the video with Rhyme Style, I don't think it's that much more powerful. I think it's only a little bit more powerful. He'd give Beerus a better run. It might be a longer fight. I still think Beerus takes it. Is SSGSS and SSG equal in power? I just said that. Because to me, it seemed Frieza was beating Goku. Oh, spoilers for Revival of F. Sorry. Just wanted to put that out there before I continue. It seemed Frieza was beating Goku up in the beginning, so that would mean if Frieza could train to get used to the golden form, he could be a match for Beerus. If SSG is stronger, it could make all the sense. I mean, Frieza has no chance at Beerus. I think even if Frieza trained to get to master his golden form, he probably still would not beat Beerus. However, because Frieza jumped so powerful within just 4 months and literally leapfrogged everybody to the point where it defies logic, then I think if Frieza trained for like a year, with or without Whis, he could probably take on Beerus. And if he trained, mastered his golden form, and just kept training, he could probably take on Beerus. Same thing with Goku. If they continue to train and reach new heights, they probably could. But Frieza in the film, no, he was scared of him. I mean, there's a scene where you see him be scared of him. Do you believe Goku will be the strongest character at the end of Dragon Ball Cho? No, I think it's still going to be Whis. I know you love to talk about alpha males and characteristics that make men alpha or beta. I do like talking about that. And that's a whole other, I mean, that's like a different world in my life. But I'm taking a little sip here. Let's keep reading. Do you think Goku is the excuse me? Do you think Goku is the most alpha of the male characters because he's the strongest of the Z fighters as well as their de facto leader? And does he display alpha characteristics? If not, who do you think it is? He does display alpha characteristics. The thing is, all right, how you said, do you think Goku is the most alpha of the characters because he's the strongest of the Z fighters? Strength does not really have anything to do with being alpha. This is where I'm going to get deep here for a minute. Because there's a big misconception about what is and isn't alpha. Just because somebody's strong does not make them alpha. Vegeta, for the majority of the series, not alpha. Always crying, always complaining, always bitching, always trying to be better than somebody else. You know, subconscious idolization of Goku and jealousy. That's not an alpha characteristic. An alpha male. Alpha, if you go by what I go by, which is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Again, you can look that up if you want more information. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a Wikipedia article. You will notice that, from Maslow's, I guess, theory, and I agree with it, to become an alpha male, it takes years, first of all. Nobody can hit alpha status until they're at least in their 30s. Unless you're a prodigy like Frieza. Very few can. But to become an alpha male means that you become what's called self-actualized. And when you're self-actualized, at that point, you've literally hit the strongest level of... It is like Dragon Ball. You've hit the strongest level of life possible, where at this point in your life, you've become completely comfortable with your mortality. You've become completely comfortable with the fact that you are an important person and that you love yourself and you love others and you show love for humanity even though they disappoint you. And very few people actually become self-actualized. If you want to talk about famous people, people like JFK, people like Gandhi, people like Martin Luther King, those are self-actualized alpha males. And women are attracted to that because they, not just women, people are attracted to alpha males. So yes, Goku does have alpha traits, and to be honest, he might actually be an alpha. I don't know, because if he was an alpha, he would be a little bit more selfless. Don't believe the dub Goku, because that's not the real Goku. Truthfully, the real Goku is the Goku in the Japanese version in the manga, who's very selfish, who does very selfish things. And alpha males are not that selfish. Every human is a little bit selfish. Goku's shown a lot of very selfish acts. He has definitely alpha qualities, but I don't know if he's completely self-actualized. But again, he's also not that smart. So in some ways, he might actually be an alpha. Honestly, he might actually be. But remember, this is Dragon Ball, not the real world. So it's hard to really judge it. But he definitely has a lot of alpha characteristics. He does care about his family, even though he kind of forgets about them sometimes. He does want to, improve and become better at things. Those are alpha characteristics. So, and also one more thing about being alpha, he also forgives people and tries to see the best in people. Excuse me. So. That though he might actually be an alpha now that I think about it. In the Dragon Ball world, for the Dragon Ball sense, he might actually be an alpha. Trunks SSJ2 versus Gohan SSJ2. If we're talking about Kid Gohan versus Teen Trunks during the Cell game, I'm probably gonna go with I was gonna say Trunks, but now that I think about it, Gohan's had better training, but Gohan did train Trunks technically, future Gohan, even though it wasn't the same. I am unsure. I think it would be a close fight, but again, if we're talking about Cell games, I'm gonna go with Gohan. I'm gonna say Gohan edges it out, but Trunks at SSJ2 would definitely be more ruthless. But if they're going at it balls to the wall, full power, Gohan wins. Is the line from early on in the old Funimation dub where Piccolo claims that Raditz is moving faster than light in the Japanese, or Funimation line? Funimation line. Hi, bro. Love your vids. They're spot on. Keep it up. Thank you. 1. Do you think Vegeta will get his time and defeat a major villain in Dragon Ball Super? Probably not, but I hope so. That's the answer to that. Now, 2. Also, will we see a new Will we see a new Saiyan villain? I was going to say science. I'm so used to saying it the right way. I'm saying it the wrong way to appease everybody. Will we see a new Saiyan villain considering how much people love Saiyans in the DBZ universe? I don't think so. I think we're really going to focus on the gods this go around. We've already seen a few of these. I'm not saying I would be against it. I just don't think that's the direction they're going with the show. 3. Will Gohan become SSJ God? Yes or no? I don't think so. I think Gohan's yesterday's news. I know it hurts some people to say that, but just watch the last 2 movies. Never mind the last question. I hadn't seen your new vid yet. How about this? How do you feel about Dragon Ball Kai? I decided to pick up the Frieza season pack, and I was surprised by how much new animation there was, and I can't quite decide if I like the look of it or not. Pacing's way better. Complicated question. I might do a video about it in detail, but basically I like Kai, especially the dub. If I'm going to watch Kai, I'm going to watch it dubbed, because the dub of Kai is better than the Japanese dub, in my opinion, because I think that the dub of Kai is more accurate. I think the voice actors in Funimation have gotten better, and I actually believe that the Japanese dub of Kai is... Japanese dub is inferior to the Japanese Z dub, because it really sounds like a lot of these guys are phoning it in. I'm not really a huge fan. Of course, I always will favor the Japanese version, but in this case, I'll probably watch it dubbed only because it's, to me, the best way to watch English Dragon Ball, and that's with Kai. Now, as far as the new animation goes, they did go in and fix a lot of scenes and color them and make them look prettier. I think they do look good for the most part, and they also changed the color palette and they remastered it the right way. The thing where you're saying you can't quite decide if you like the look of it, I kind of understand, because it looks very clean, which is good. It looks very sharp, but also there was something about that old school 90s animation that just, is amazing. So I like Kai, but I prefer Z, the Japanese version, because I think Kikuchi's better. I like Yamamoto, but I think Kikuchi's better. I think that even though there's filler, I know what is and isn't filler, me personally. Like, I know what's in the manga and what's not, so it doesn't really bother me. Plus, some of the filler is actually good, and it's just the one I kind of grew up on. Just like people tell me all the time, I grew up on the Funimation dub with Bruce Falconer, and that's fine. That's fine. I have nothing against anybody growing up with that version of Dragon Ball. Just watch the Japanese version because you wanted to be aware of the script changes. Not so much because you like the voices more. There was way too many script changes in the dub that I think fucked up Dragon Ball. But you can like whatever version of Kai you want. I do not own Kai, actually. I have seen Kai. Not all of it, but I've seen a lot of it. I don't own it, but I eventually will own it. I'm going to actually probably pick it up this year. I've been trying to find the Yamamoto one, but it's hard to find. Eventually I'll find it. I'm sure I will. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, then do me a favor and send another one in and we'll get to it. Last question for this Q&A. Do you think there's going to be gods of creation in Dragon Ball Super? Yeah, because they're in Dragon Ball Z, the Kais. The Kaioshins are the gods of creation. This was speculation for a long time, and people weren't really sure until Toriyama did the interview where he revealed that the Kaioshin and the Supreme Kais are the gods of creation. What is weird is that the god of destruction is so much more powerful than them, but, I mean, that's how it is. What am I going to tell you? All right, so yeah, they will be there. Will there be any more gods? We'll find out. And that is it for this week's Geekdom Q&A. Might do another one very soon. I'm trying to do one a week, but I might actually do more than one a week if I get overloaded with questions just to clear the queue out. But I think I'll be fine for right now. I'm not really too worried. Send your questions in. And thank you for watching. And I hope y'all have a great day. And take care of yourself and each other. And I'll catch your ass down the road.